I'll try. Whichever email you used.
It's a personal.
And just, I know some of you heard me talking, but Luke Soba did not drive back out here this morning for this. He is on speakerphone in the middle of the table, just so everyone is aware.
I just thought today my baby gets to go to the county fair.
That's fine.
It's no Hawaii. He's happy.
I don't know exactly where I left off with the collaboration pay. So what I would like to do, and we're checking with the state on a few things. So all this would have to be contingent upon state approval, but I have every reason to believe it'll be there and go through. I'd like to propose a minimum of $3,000 a person. I can tell you that I feel like we're pretty comfortable that it'll be more. There's no reason not to spend whatever we have left. It could go as high as 4, but I'd like to say something like that, no less than 3, or 4. I have to verify some payment terms. We would like to pay that out in November like we have. However, I have to make sure that's okay. So we may have to pay that out in September. September's a bad month for us payroll because we're doing everything. So I would like to propose, unless told otherwise, that pay out in November. If we're forced to do it in September, we will of course do it in September. So we'll have to, at least we're being told that we'll have to resubmit the application by Thursday. So that's why I'm kind of giving myself some latitude on these things. To see exactly where we're at, and we'll make sure that the state doesn't tell us something. But I feel very comfortable that those new people, whether that's 30 or 33, or maybe we get lucky and it's 35, but we're gonna have to put, encumber is probably the wrong word, I forget the term they use, but when we do this, we're going to have that allocated by September, so we probably need to pick a date, whether that's the first day of school or September 1st. In other words, you have to be a new teacher by that date. If you come in October, then I won't have an opportunity to account for that, if that makes sense. It's gotta happen in September sometime, so we have to draw a line in the sand. I don't necessarily care when. It could be, the first Monday in September or something. Well, it's probably Labor Day, but
First Monday is Labor Day the 2nd. Do we want to do like Friday the 6th? Do we want to do it the Friday before Labor Day?
it doesn't. It's just a.
I mean, that's more of a hiring thing on your
Yeah,
basis.
you just have to be a.
When are you paying? That's
Well, I
my
don't know.
question.
If I can do it the way we want, if we really have until December, like I think we do, I would like to pay it in November's paycheck.
Okay.
Now, they might tell us that it has to be paid by the end of September, in which case it'll be September.
Okay. So,
But I'm gonna need a list from
but
you.
that's the reason I'm asking, because then I need a full month worth of time to be able to get it there by the 6th of that month, so it can be processed
That's what you're saying.
for the next month. So if we can pay it in November,
That's what I'm shooting for.
then I wouldn't need to get a list there until November 6th. So then we can move the date.
You can make it the first day of school, which is August, that gives you a little more time. And I'm not pushing for a date.
I'm not trying to create more time than I need. That's why I'm asking when it's being paid. Because
Well-
if it's being paid in November, then as long as I can get the list by November.
I may know here in a day or two. I mean, we're waiting.
What I would like to do is again, the whole point of this is to try to pay as many of these
Yes.
people coming on board as possible. So if we have somebody that comes on in September per se, but is coming on for the next 5 years, then I would just as soon move that date back as far as possible so we can catch as many of those people as possible.
Here's what, I'm gonna use a different terminology. The way I understand it is that money has to be accounted for by the end of September, but I don't have to write the check until December. It's obviously very important. I need to make sure that that's exactly right. That is my understanding today. But I kind of want something in an email that
So then
backs me up on.
let's just use the end of September then. And then we should be good with the pay date and what they're telling you.
Okay, so when,
September 30th.
well, it'll be September 25th.
Okay. September
So
25th.
then what's the date of hire?
September 25th.
Well, I can't do that in a day, neither can you. You're saying, are you telling me to write the check in September 25th?
No, you're saying you just need to know by September 25th. I
Well,
can get you a list
okay.
by then of all the new
I'm
people.
telling you, I don't know that that's the case. If that is the case, I'm fine with that. That is based on my understanding of the Easter and how the funds need to be worked out. So if I want confirmation in writing, which Barb has said that, and we just haven't heard back. If that scenario is true, that would work totally fine. Here's what I know, the end of September is a deadline. And I go, as long as I don't have to write the check in September, as long as I just have to account for it, I can write revise the application to say.
So really, we have to wait and see when does it
Well, I'm
does the
just trying
check
to get
have to
some
be
kind of
written?
range here so we don't, because again, it would be nice to wrap this up.
I don't want to make some sort of arrangement without, again, I've been through this before where
Okay,
we make
Then
an
we'll just have to get
arrangement
back
and
on
we
you
say
on
we're
that.
gonna make a payment and then that payment doesn't happen when it was scheduled to happen, and then I'm the one that has to deal with all the aftermath of that.
okay.
So if we need to move it to August, so we know for sure that the check is going to be
You can make
written.
it first day of school and you can make it payday, I think it's the 25th of September. I mean, that we can do. I was just trying to give a little more time for everybody as well.
Yeah, if we
But
don't
we can
know
live with
if the check has to be written in September, or if we just have to tell them that the check's gonna be written, then we don't really have a choice. If we wanna make an agreement today, the only thing we can do is prepare for us to have that information of payroll by September 5th.
So last year when we talked about that, bonus retention money, and we were gonna have to do the paperwork, and we didn't know when it was gonna be paid, but we knew it was gonna be this much money, and we were waiting for the application, but we still wanted to go ahead and wrap up. We just said, okay, we're gonna put this in here tentatively, and we know we're gonna have to be flexible to dates, and we'll get it locked in before school. It sounds like, Hammer, you're saying I can have dates before school starts in the next
I
month.
would like to tell you I'm gonna get an email today, but I don't have it yet.
So what I'm proposing is maybe we just go ahead and say the amount is gonna be 3,000, and if that comes back and it's 3,500, we can revise that in there. I don't think anybody's gonna say no to more money, and we say tentatively the higher date by, and we'll let you guys that's way more of a you guys thing than an us, I think.
I mean,
Okay with
we can
whatever.
put that in writing and not deviate from it, just can't put it in writing today.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Well,
We won't get it in writing for another 3-4 weeks probably. Doesn't it take us about that much longer to get all the wording figured out?
Well, yeah, we'll have to
So
know
by
something
then, we'll definitely know,
Really have to know something by Thursday.
so.
well, and I think it would be easy to have a tentative agreement on it that said a minimum of 3,000, preferably in November's pay check or pay period or whatever. And then if it doesn't work out exactly like that, that's.
By the time you guys put it to a vote and we take it to the board, those dates will be determined.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think we kind of knew that last year too. Maybe we didn't even know what day it was gonna be paid until like after we had voted. I think it was like September of last year. And I can look and see how we had that worded, and we can word it somewhat similar to that.
It's on the last, negotiated agreement,
Yeah,
it's at the very
that's
last
fine.
page.
Trying to pull up the.
It's right.
Nice for them.
Minimum duration.
It
Yeah.
was was just
premium
two
pay right
words.
there.
Or 2 lines.
Mhm.
The district will pay, we didn't even say when it would be paid. We just said the
20
district will pay a premium stipend of $1,500. It will
This
be
is-
contingent upon ESSER approval of the State Board of Education. Just leave it like that, then we know we're doing our best. I mean, you guys are doing your best to
Yeah.
get that paid.
My only concern with that, with this one would be, it really does have to have a deadline to it, because if people come in past a certain time, he's not gonna be able to
Yeah,
make
we
the
won't
payments
be able to.
anymore, but if it's generically written in there, people could expect that payment because it's not,
We can
like,
fill in the blanks before
Right.
you put it to a vote, and before we take it to the board.
I mean, it really does have to have a deadline on this one.
Yeah, that does make sense. What about the wording on the evaluations? I know there was some back and forth on that.
I think we locked that in at the end of the last one. We went with those first couple of things and turned it
Yeah.
green, didn't we?
Yeah, I think it's
Based off of
pretty
the-
much done.
Yeah.
Feedback from our side, is that correct?
I think we
Sorry, I
went
wasn't
with,
here last
like,
time.
yeah, it's right here. The pilot would involve new hires for the 24-25 school year. In addition, any interested teachers and DCNEA volunteers will be included. Regular touch point meetings will occur. That's what we locked in right at the end of that meeting the other day. And then, did you all have a chance to look over or send back out that progressive discipline plan that I sent back?
I didn't get your plan sent back, apparently. Did you email it to my school email or?
You were included in all of those emails that were going back and forth that I was responding to. It just had your name in the CC line, because it was coming from Michael and Johnny the other day.
Okay, so it might be on my Google. Let me look in my, because I'm sorry, I did not see that.
I don't think I've received anything.
Let me look in my sent folder and make sure it went out.
Yeah, there's the emails.
Because I put it in a Word document, so
Okay.
if it had to be sent back to your people, that they could just redline it as opposed to.
I'm terribly sorry, I don't have anything in either of my emails, which is very strange.
Yeah.
He's out of touch right now. He's on vacation today. Jason, would you forward that to me and I'll make sure we get it sent off? I know Michael will be back in touch with us tomorrow.
Just checking to see what happened here. It says it went to Spec Tech
Okay, I'll double check that one.
1225@gmail.com, because that's what Michael had you
Yes.
included in the email on.
Okay, so I might have missed it on my thread because I have
Johnny,
so
it
many.
went to
Yeah,
Dunlap_Johnny@USD443.org. That's not even, oh no, it went to Dunlap.Johnny@USD443.org.
yeah,
Okay. I
I
do
will
have.
forward it on to your other account if you want it answered.
Yes, please, because I only have, it didn't give me all of the information.
There you go.
When was the
I just sent it to your
Thursday, the 11th?
full account.
Okay, thank you. And I will try to see, I'll hunt through my email on my bigger computer if that's, I'm sorry.
Right.
This too.
I'm just gonna double check. I did see some things, but like I said, it's hard to see on my phone, of course.
And we made, during caucus on that day, we came in here and pulled up and it was in an email format that came back to us from your council. And so that's what I was telling Johnny right at the end of negotiations that day is we went through and made what we sorted out through that narrative in the email. And then I turned it into a Word document and sent it back. So hopefully this time, if anything needs to be, or if you're requesting any adjustments, it can just be done right there in the document so we can see exactly where it was. Because following the narrative in the email and trying to put it into what we had was challenging.
Yeah,
Okay.
Michael forwarded this to them. I just forwarded it again.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't Thursday, so yeah, I'll have to go back through and I'll look at all of that. I agree. I'll pull it up, I'll look at what we have written down and I'll look at all of theirs and then we'll try to make sure that we have that completely worded the way that it should. Yes. Okay.
So I see that somebody started minutes for
I did.
today. But I don't, so do we want to type something in there for?
I just said progressive discipline wording. You send a progressive wording to us and we will have KNEA look this over. If you want me, I'll put on there, we'll finalize that.
What's going on? Mine might not be updating for some reason, because mine still shows stuff from last.
Yeah, that's
Time.
what
Oh.
mine is too.
I was looking for the part we just did with the
Sorry.
collaboration
Let me
payments, and I was gonna copy and paste it over to my other document, and it's not updating.
Yeah, but
Mine says 7:15 negotiation
Yes.
meeting minutes, but it still has the other stuff on it.
yeah,
Oh,
because I went into the
Yeah.
wrong one and did the wrong thing, so I will go ahead and fix this. That's what happens when I'm gone for too many days. I closed the wrong one. 7:15.
Uh-oh. So did we
I'll
lose our
get it.
minutes from
No.
7:15?
I'll get
I
it.
mean, from 7:11?
No, I will get it. I'm just trying to fix this. Paste. The one thing about Google that's nice is you can go in and see where your last history version was. And restore that version. There you go. Okay, let me get out of that one. Get in the right one. Okay, now is it there? 7:15?
Yep.
Okay.
There it is.
Alright.
Did you get the 7-Eleven ones restored?
Yep.
There they are. All right. Thank you. So,
I think those were all the things. No, so the wording on class cover, what you come up with, what you,
Actually, it's not class cover,
Well,
and that's
yes.
something, so what I want to do is, first off, we need to get to finance at some point, but at some point, I will caucus and have a discussion with our team from the district's perspective. So you know what Johnny's talking about. There was a situation this year where there was a grievance actually filed at one point with a teacher that was doing a teaching on plan time situation. It was handled the way historically I was told after I figured out what was going on. However, eventually it was not noticed, so to speak, directly in the letter as to wanting to be discussed. Johnny called me on Friday and asked me about possibly discussing it, so I want to have a chance to discuss it with my team at some point before we go any further with it at the table. So just FYI.
yeah, the grievance started after the notice letters went out, so it wasn't something that we could add at that point. And we talked about it briefly in one of the early meetings, touched on it, but haven't gone back to it. It hit me after our meeting last week. I was like, I knew I was forgetting something. I knew it. So,
And so we can either do that now before we go to finance and we can caucus and have a discussion, or we can do finance and then caucus and have a discussion.
yeah, that's it, finance.
Because that's really where we're at this point.
Okay, so what I pulled up here is the latest file that Hammer sent us to look over. When I looked at it, I didn't see anything glaring. Did you?
Okay, I did print off, I found those two teachers that are really job sharing, so they're each half-timer, I think one's 0.52 and one's 0.48, so they're splitting. And I think that could be the difference of where we're coming up with the 2825 and getting us to the 2900.
So just,
And I know you said that you didn't want to,
well, we're not going to. The only offer that we're going to, there's only two options today for us. 49,250 base and 2825 on everything else are fact finding. I mean, I have exceeded what I told the board beyond my comfort level. And so if we go to fact finding, I'm gonna walk back some of where we are because I think the numbers will justify that. So I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I didn't want to go down a trail that I already know we're not going to do. So if you guys want to caucus on that, we can caucus on this other stuff and get back together. But that's a very good, a very fair offer. It's more than what the board is expecting, considerably more than what I told them. So I'm not comfortable moving off of that. So just to let you know, I've slept twice since I sent that out, and I think that's a very, very good deal. And we have to caucus anyway, so we can give you the room.
Yeah, let's caucus.
All right.
How long?
Jason, how long were you guys?
15 will be plenty for what I need. Yeah, we'll go to my office.
And we're back. Okay. Okay. And we're back. Okay.
You're back twice. You're back twice.
I had it muted earlier. I muted it to make sure that we were muted here. It's fine. It's fine. I fixed it. All right. So, I suppose we wanted to start with finance, so we'll go first, I guess. I think that we'll take the 28, 25. The folks that we represent will appreciate that, and yeah, so that's kind of where we're at.
Well, so the discussion that came up between you and I, Johnny, and we know it was kind of a sticking point throughout the course of last year. So what I'm prepared to do is make a statement here and put it in the minutes. I don't want to necessarily negotiate it at this point in time. However, I will say that we will go ahead for this next school year, knowing that there are some issues we need to figure out, make those block rate payments, even when those individuals that are teaching on plan time, and this is only affecting that teaching on plan time
Correct. Yeah.
situation, but we will go ahead and make those payments on those days for this coming year, even if they happen to have to miss for those blocks that they're teaching on plan time.
Okay.
And then we will notice it and get to a language in the negotiated agreement next year. I don't want to go in and try to put something in the negotiated agreement right now.
Thank you.
And just the last piece is that won't include any type of retro payments of any kind or anything like that. Just want to make sure we're clear here. Like I'm trying to resolve this moving forward from what I had found out from the past, not go backwards and try to make any changes. So.
Do you want to see if that's okay? And we can turn both of those things green in our
Do you wanna
notes.
check
Oh.
the-
Sorry. I was.
With the flat rate, we had, I know we talked about, I can't remember if we turned it green or some kind of language that says this year we're gonna do a flat rate, but we're gonna start from salary schedule next year. Is that?
Yeah, so I had sent another email the other day, and I don't know if you've seen that one yet or not, but Michael had actually presented some language.
Right.
I sent something back in red, just again, I think the point to be made is it, from both sides. One, you all want to make sure that we're looking at the original schedule and not trying to just do block payments every year, which I completely get. From our perspective, I've got to make sure we keep all avenues open regardless, because that's just what it is. And so
Right.
as long as it's a statement about that will be the starting point, then I am fine with what it is. But the way it was originally sent, it just made it sound like we're reverting back and that's what it's going to be and all of that. And again, I get Michael's concern that if you don't have something like that, it could just be, well, this is where we started this year and this is where it's always going to be. I think, well, it is what it is, but one way or the other, it's got to be notated in there that that's where we will start. We are committed to that, just like you all are. But again, finances are finances, and it's always going to go back to where's the money and how can the money be spent and where's the best place to spend the money on that schedule.
Okay, so the language suggestion, because on my screen I don't see anything change, but
I do. The
Yeah.
salary schedule index will be suspended during the SY 24-25 in favor of a one-time flat increase of, and then we'll put the 28-25 in there, on all cells of the 23-24 negotiated agreement bargaining for salary schedule, or SY 25-26 will begin by utilizing That's
Yes.
what you
That's
added.
what I added. It
And
just,
I
Oh, okay.
see no problem.
Yeah,
it
that's
just
fine.
says begin by utilizing instead
Is it
of
all
I'm gonna type
will
that,
utilize, yes.
I'm gonna type that wording into, our,
Was it all cells or all?
Yeah, I was gonna get there. So it's almost all cells. The BS 0 is a base of 49,250. So the top row is, you still have your column. So your base goes to 49,250. And then across the top, it's your plus 15,
Oh, yeah, plus
25,
15.
15,
Yes.
30, 50. So, but as you move down,
is,
it's 28, 25.
okay, so with the base starting at, what was that number?
49,250.
Okay, so if we say on there, let me try to type this in and
Sure.
see if you guys agree with the language when we get it in there. Oops.
I'm modifying slightly.
Oh, okay, I thought I was in
Just
the
so-
wrong spot.
no, I'm modifying slightly on that other deal,
And-
just,
Sorry to, we didn't, so your two BS columns, your BS and BS 15, those do plane out just like they were in the old schedule, because I went off the old schedule.
Yeah.
Now, they don't anywhere else, but, so what you have, or what I sent you, like, I didn't change that, so it should look like what you guys got from me on Friday afternoon, or whatever. So while we are saying 28, 25, but to be clear, the BS 0 bottoms out, looks like at 13. And then the BS 15 plateaus out, it looks like down at 21, but none of the rest of them did, so, there's, everything else has them. That's why it looked funky with that 31st step in there. Didn't know how else to do that and keep the spreadsheet,
Right.
So. And you got so many things connected to so many different tabs. It's like, oh yeah, there's that, whatever, sheet 11. It's like,
Oh,
I forgot
yeah.
that thing even existed. So
Right, because it's
I had to go in and
It's a
start
vertical
something
lookup.
there to make that work.
Okay.
tell me if this makes sense to everybody. The district will make the appropriate prorated payments for teaching on plan time, even if the teacher is absent for the period for the 24-25 school year. The BOE will notice it and get the language in the negotiated agreement cleaned up for next year. No retroactive payments will be made for this issue. Yes? Sure.
Okay,
so,
so,
maybe for that class period or that.
Would you say during the 24, 25 school year?
During?
yes,
Instead of 4.
There you go.
are you guys good with that?
Looks good to me now.
I'm by no means an administrative assistant.
You're a lot closer than I am. You take really good minutes. It's amazing.
Okay, so on the DCNEA's language for salary schedule, the salary schedule index will be suspended during the school year 24-25 in favor of a one-time flat fee increase of 28-25 with a base salary of 49,250 on all other cells of the 23-24 negotiated, or it should say with exception of a base salary.
Well,
But it's not necessarily the base, it's all of the year zeros, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
The year
Yeah.
zeros across.
Yeah, that top row, it should look, I'm mad that she can't see it, but, because I didn't put it on your website, but
No.
it should look exactly like what you two have in front of you.
But yes, it just says in favor of a one-time flat increase of 28.25, and I put in there with a base salary of 49,250, so that stays
And so
there.
your zeros then calculate across, by what you already had in there, the 1525, then with a master's, it's a 3050. So nothing changed formula-wise
Mhm.
on the zero row.
Yeah.
But
And it
everything,
It just says though, I'm
so
just
your
trying
column movement is intact.
I'm trying to keeping the wording there so that it shows that we're adding a flat increase of the 28.25, but that the base salary is 49,250. That way, that group.
If you're coming in as a
understands.
BS 30,
Uh-huh.
with zero, you're gonna be at that 52,300.
Yeah.
That did not go up by the 28.25. Because the base didn't go up by 28.25, if that makes sense to you.
So.
It is difficult to word because there were so many things that needed to be tweaked to get that done.
Okay, with base salary of 49,250 and year zero remaining. And all other year zeros not remaining?
Well, all other zeros, the column movement was just exactly what it was. So it moves in reference to the 49,250, not to the 28.25.
That's what okay, so
Everything under that moves by 28.25.
I'm just trying not to confuse.
I understand.
So I want to make sure that what we're saying is that the 49,250 and all other year zero columns are where they're at.
Well, you
Stay
can
stagnant.
attach that for a reference.
The salary schedule index will be suspended during the school year 24-25 in favor of a one-time flat increase of 28.25.
You can say the all cells at
Excluding.
one,
Excluding the base and all other zero cells.
or except for that's not quite true because it does flatten out in BS and BS 15.
Excluding
Which is
the
exactly
base.
what the old one did.
Excluding the base
Okay.
cells, or how do we say that?
It's there, but it flattens
So
out.
year zero is
Yes.
2450.
Excluding year
All-
zero,
Year zero is 2450. All others are 2825. That would be the easiest way, probably.
That is good job.
Okay,
Is that right? That's the right number,
That
isn't it?
would be right,
2450.
because everything,
I think I checked
Yeah.
BS 15,
Should
BS
be.
30.
year zero was how much? I'm sorry.
2450.
2450. Okay,
And all other cells increased 2825.
that's correct.
and if you wanted to be even more specific, you could put another statement in there that says, however, all columns that currently max out at a certain level will continue to max out at that level.
They got the bump, but, they.
So
you're gonna read it
after,
next
after level 12, if it goes to whatever the adding of the 2850 or 2825 is, that number is going to stay consistent all the way down that column, just like it currently is. It's not going to be another 2825 on every cell underneath there.
Right.
Right.
It's up from where it was, but.
Does that make sense?
okay, is that, looking at the wording there on our notes.
The salary schedule index will be suspended during the school year 24-25 in favor of a one-time flat increase of 2450 on the zero. How about just on year zero, and a 28-25 on all other sales of negotiated agreement.
Of the 23-24 negotiated agreement, yeah.
Again,
Bargaining will
that,
begin.
I guess my concern with not putting something there about max, the ones that currently max out will continue to do so. If I'm BS year 15, I'm thinking, well, you told me all those sales were gonna go up by,
Well, they should.
They all
They
did.
do.
They all did go up by that. And you're
Yeah, there's just no
renegotiating next
difference.
year.
I
Well,
get
it
it,
doesn't
but what
matter.
I'm saying is, if I'm just looking at it from my own personal perspective, I'm thinking, wait, all of those sales were supposed to go up by that, but they won't go back and look at last year's. They're just gonna assume that each one of those cells going down should go up by that. You see what I'm
So
saying?
It does kind of,
does
I'm
adding,
trying to protect from having to answer a bunch of questions like, why did this one stop and not continue to go up by 28-25 down that column?
all max cells will remain?
Yes.
That's what I added in there.
I think that,
Snapshot of that
then when I
screen.
read it for this year, without going back and looking at last year, I realize that some of those max out.
Okay, so then it says, it says in favor of a one-time flat increase of $24.50 on year 0 and $28.25 on all other cells of the 23-24 negotiated agreement. And then, actually, I should move that up.
However, all max cells remain.
Yeah, put in however at right there instead?
Yep.
Okay, so, and then it says however. Okay, so all cells of the 23-24 negotiated agreement, however, all max cells will remain.
I mean, because then you're alluding to, it's not just a progressive increase down every single cell.
DCNEA, what do we say? Good wording?
Luke?
Yes?
Luke, are you still there?
Yeah, sorry, I had it muted, but yeah, I'm following you.
Okay, just wanted to make sure, does all of that make sense that you just heard about
Well,
this salary
I mean,
piece?
It's real calisthenics, but,
Yeah.
you know, I guess you could say, if you wanted to reference the attached salary schedule, but you probably haven't got one prepped yet, so.
we're all looking at the same thing right now.
I think we do it if we can.
And just put at the end,
Well, we always put the salary schedule in the.
Yeah, the salary schedule will be in there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll just put that in and then what will be paid. So,
are we good?
I think it's good.
Can we green all of that I have
Looks
highlighted
like it to me.
right there? Oh, undo that. It keeps trying to do something I don't want it to do.
Can you scroll down just a bit? I was just looking at. Just to be, it's kind of a mistake that's good for us, but just in transparency, what I'm seeing, I'm looking, I have it pulled up on mine last year's that is unchanged. And it's looking like on BS 12 was frozen, and then 13 matches the same, and you have 12 and then 13 changes, and then that's where it's frozen.
Because
Say-
everything moved down the line. So, Go ahead, I'm sorry, I cut you
So
off.
similar to the 30s and the 31s, in order to take care of the people that were on that line, we basically didn't have a choice.
So so what I notice is that the freezing actually
As a line later.
moves down
Yes.
the
I
line.
didn't,
Again, it goes
So
I don't know
I'm,
how
I'm
to
just
do that.
saying
Yeah,
that
I
that's,
know.
that's good for us, but
and that's
just
why I
trying
did
to
the
be fair.
31s, because we sat there and said, everybody's gonna get a flat fee. And rather than try to back the 31s up and the others, everybody just moved, it it was hard to try to figure that out because we're not freezing a step. So in your mind, if you're a 13, next year you're a 14, and that's where you're gonna look. So I didn't know that it was, I appreciate you bringing that up. I didn't, it was there with the 30s also. And so when we said everybody's gonna get treated the same is the only way I knew how to do that. So it does that, and you're exactly right. Everything is a
So
year
the
later.
maxing of everything has moved up a year
Yep.
as well.
But you guys are starting back where you.
So that's what I'm saying. So next year, will we say, we're moving those back? I just
Well, that's
wanna
what
make
you-
sure that we're all know what's going on.
I know what Bill'll say.
Well, yeah, I mean, and again, I don't want to kick the can down the road, so to speak, but next year is next year, and we will, like this year, there was multiple proposals put out there about
Oh, I
moving
know.
those to begin with, and
Oh, I
those
know.
could come back anyway.
Right.
So I don't think we need to really get caught up on where they're at this year, I guess is my
I
point.
just wanted to
You're
make
gonna
sure
have to
that
fix
was
that
like
next year
intentional
somehow.
and
That's
not,
true.
okay.
Because either that or then you add a year 32 row or something, you know, I mean, so, yeah, or make mandatory retirement. You know.
So
You don't wanna live with those.
and mandatorily, they come back after retirement.
You have to give them the 186 days to do that.
Depends on their age.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Might be 60.
True. I'm just throwing numbers out there. Okay, do we have,
Okay, so we're great.
we're good.
Okay, so what we have left is the progressive discipline thing, and I'll bug them today. I really thought they would have gotten back to me by now, but I'll bug them today. With that, and then just wording in places to put it in the NA and the usual
Yeah,
stuff.
the just getting the NA updated stuff,
Right.
because I will have to get a PDF of the salary schedule and start
Right.
getting all of that stuff prepared.
Okay. That's it.
I mean, I think the wording, as far as it goes, I mean, all the wording is on that 24-25 TA summary document that I linked in that
Yeah, we've
folder,
been
because
kind of
I've
doing it
been
as we
copying
go.
and pasting it directly out of the minutes as we go. So everything's there. We just got to get a final decision on the progressive discipline stuff, and once that's done, like, we're ready to go. I will start getting the negotiated agreement, or if you want to start, Johnny, getting the negotiated agreement updated with all of that wording. And then as soon as you're done with that, we can meet and just review it
Yeah.
and start getting ready to put this thing out to a vote.
Do
What do you
sorry.
think timeline from your perspective?
Maybe a couple of days. I
Yeah.
don't think it'll take them long.
Thought it won't take long. I think it worked really well when we did it at the convocation last year, but I don't know if you want to wait that long.
Yeah, it's up to you, but I also had I was trying to finalize things with Carrie and needed to ask. So last year, the certified staff only stayed at the very end of that. Do you all want to continue that practice again this year?
If
'Cause
you're
we have
gonna
that
do
time
that,
built
need-
in.
you need to make sure that they understand that you are bargaining for everybody. Because when we did that last year, a large amount of the certified staff got up and left when they heard DCNEA was there to take a vote.
I think we need to say certified staff, not DCNEA, just certified staff.
Because a large amount of them.
It's
got
what it
up.
said on the announcement, was certified staff only. That's what it said on the
Yeah.
program.
Yeah,
But
but they don't read.
I know, but
They don't read, there were some kids.
in any case, you want that time. Do you want to wait for that time to do your vote?
I
I think
Yeah,
that
I
was a
think-
good way to
Because
do
that
it.
also gives us plenty of time to get all of this wrapped
Yeah,
up, which I like,
exactly.
which I like.
Very good
Yeah.
way to do it.
well, yeah, like I said, I think we're pretty flexible as far as that goes. I think it was a good time to be able to present, these are the changes that we made.
Okay.
This is what this means, now vote on it. And then the voter turnout was higher,
Okay.
Yes.
that
I think it was a great time to do it.
Yeah, so
Sounds good.
we like it, but if you guys were like in a rush, we could do some other method.
I'm not in a rush at any way, shape or form, other than, again, I'll I'll pretty much have everything prepared because it would then still go to the board that night.
Oh,
Similar to what happened last year,
Nice.
that board meeting is that night. So as long as it
I think we left
passes
it
and,
open till like 3.
Yeah, well, like,
as
yeah,
long as it, just like last year, as long as it
Like,
passes
vote
and everything
now, and then we
goes.
send a reminder at 1 o'clock. If you haven't voted, vote. It's closing
If
at
something
3.
crazy were to happen, then I would just pull it from the agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of how we ran it last year.
Yeah,
We got it
I
up.
think it worked pretty well.
Okay.
And even,
Didn't we leave it till like 3?
We
That
left
way
it
we
till
had plenty of
3.
time to
yeah,
Yep.
you.
and we had.
All I needed was the numbers and I updated it in a sheet that went into the green folders for the board, just so they knew what the numbers were, so.
Yeah.
In any case,
I do want to, I think I would be remiss if I didn't say one thing. I'm going to start with thank you. It's been a lot of work, a lot of, these have been tiring as usual. But I want to say that we feel like it's bad practice to make promises to the board and give the board numbers before we've had a chance to discuss it here. I mean, because what happens is there's a voting body, right, that's separate from this body, in the board and in the bargaining unit, right? And so if we went to our bargaining unit and we said, hey, we promise you 12%, and then wouldn't back down from that because we made a promise like that,
Well,
that ties
I can
hands,
assure you,
know what I
what
mean?
was shared in there versus where we arrived is different by a considerable amount. Can't really tell you what we talked about, but I can tell you that, they didn't give me a number. I didn't necessarily give them the exact number, but I gave them a range and a ballpark. I mean, I'll tell you that much. I
Right.
didn't do anything I'm not supposed to do.
Well,
So,
and I don't want
but-
to imply that there was anything like
well, I mean, I don't think
improper
there was.
or whatever. Like, that's not what I'm getting at. I just think that like perhaps we don't give them ranges, don't give them promises,
Okay.
and let this
You
play out.
can- And that's fair, if you want to say that. I can tell you that sitting right here where we are right now, I am beyond my comfort level regardless of what I have or haven't told the board. I mean, that is the honest truth. So, I mean, I couldn't have in good faith gone any farther than where we are today. I mean, I'm hearing what you're saying. I don't want it to come across like there's, backdoor deals or anything, because they can't vote in there. A lot of times they don't even discuss. We just kind of say, hey, here's where we are, here's the topics, yada. I mean, there's, I'd be lying to say that there was no numbers shared, although a lot of times there isn't any. Most of it is just kind of general terms, update sort of stuff, hot topics, whatever. So there wasn't a deal struck. I mean,
so here's what I'll say, and again, Amber, I'm just gonna jump in since I'm charged with leading this entire process on the board's behalf. Again, I think it's just a difference in language and what Hammer stated, but we are technically charged with negotiating on behalf of the board. I mean, that's our role. And so when we decide that this is what it's going to be, then that's what it's going to be. And sometimes, obviously, there's a lot of conversations that occur in that process, but ultimately it comes down to just what Hammer said. Whatever is going to be agreed upon has to be agreed upon from this level, because we are charged with negotiating on the board's behalf. And again,
Right, but
it's not necessarily we make a deal here and then we come make a deal there. We are negotiating on the behalf of the board, and that is the responsibility that we have been given by the board. So we have to look at, and again, it's the same reason why we sometimes have to agree to disagree on certain aspects of who you're bargaining for and who you're not bargaining for, because we have to look at the big picture of everything when it comes down to those things. So yes, I see your point, but at the same time, it's not like, hey, we're going to go say this, so when we come in this room, we can say we said this to the board. That's not the point, I can assure you.
they're very concerned about taking care of staff. And our job is to do that too, is to take care of the staff, and be fiscally responsible. So,
I mean, point is taken, and I understand it, but I really honestly think it was just a difference in wording and how it was stated. Seriously.
How it was stated, sounded like there were expectations. set
And
before.
that's what I'm saying.
That's what we're-
Well,
But,
there were expectations, but
I can
it
assure
might all
you,
been
if
up here.
we go back to the board and change those expectations with the board, then the board is going to support us when we say we think we can change the expectations, I guess is my point. Because they they have charged us with those duties and responsibilities.
Total change of subject. I wanted to say thank you for the year that I've had working with this team. Today is my official last day as president. I have pretty much done nothing this year as Angie swooped in and took over everything for this negotiations. But I have had a lot of pleasure working with this board or with this team. And it's been a joy for me. I've worked on this in regards to for the teachers. I have done everything that I have done for the teachers. And it's been a good ride for me to work on behalf of the teachers. And I have really enjoyed it. So thank you very much.
I've enjoyed my time dealing directly with you throughout the
Jason.
last year as well, and appreciate everything. And I will echo the same sentiments. I mean, and I said this in the last meeting, from 3 years ago when I started this until now, I think we've come a long way, and I appreciate all of the strides we have made to make this process a lot more meaningful, I think, and a lot less argumentative. And I think we will continue to hone in on those things as we move forward. So thank you to everyone on the team as well.
And I just want to make sure I highlighted the collaboration time for new teachers in green as well, from what we discussed.
And so, how do we want to handle lastly, because we still do need to make a group decision, and it has to do with that it's not locked in yet. That progressive discipline.
Do we want to come back to this table? Do we want to, and please interrupt me if I'm wrong in this. I think that our feeling on it is that if our Canadian legal is fine with it, then we are too.
Okay. And again, I just wanted to make sure we're on the same page as a group. So if your team and my team want to allow us to, if we need communication, we'll reach out. If we don't, we won't, and we'll get it finalized.
Yeah, I don't think that we're like against it. I think it's
Okay.
just we want to make sure the language is solid.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and I think the final item is the wording for professional discipline. DCNEA will communicate with Jason on this issue.
Thank you.
And then I'll start working on the wording in the document itself. So, all right.
All right.
Excellent.
Oh, no, you were.
Luke, thank you for everything. Appreciate you. Absolutely. What's that? Yep, you too, man. Take care. Yep. There you go. Hey, I earned $150 in store credit playing in the citywide championship this last weekend. Yeah. And I only hit the city manager's house once.
I should probably.
Yeah. All right.
All right, and we'll